Welcome to Real Money Talks. Real strategies from the moneymakers and the world changers that you can use to make millions, keep those millions, multiply your wealth, and build your team. Here's your host, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View, Loral Langemeier.
All right. Well, welcome. So Peter Anthony Wynn, it's so exciting to have you on my Facebook Live, and it will be our Facebook Live combined. It was brilliant meeting you the other day. And I just want our audience at Live Out Loud and our community off Wall Street Assets to get to know who you are. So who are you, dear man, who's so successful and has just like connected me to all these amazing people in 24 hours? I've had more interaction. It's been extraordinary.
Well, you're very kind, and thank you. You know, I'm the CEO and founder of You Will Change the World. So that's where we take experts and authors and speakers, and we kind of connect them so that they can create a larger infrastructure. What I love about what you're doing is the back end. And, you know, we have a saying at You Will Change the World: you can't help the poor by becoming one of them. And as much as you want to give, you know, and so many people want to give, and the Facebook community has been really wonderful to us. The challenge is you have to give back to yourself. You have to make sure you have a strong infrastructure. You have to make sure you understand finances and the way the world moves to your best advantage. What I loved about what you were sharing, Laurel, is that's what you do, man. That's what you live. And it was exciting to us. We were excited, man. We were all jazzed up. We were like, yes, this is making sense, because there are so many opportunities that we have that we don't understand, and you don't know what you don't know. And you're just pulling back the cover, opening up the engine and showing us how a race car should run. I loved it. And I think it's a huge opportunity for our community to dive deep, to learn more, and to become better.
I would totally agree. And I think, you know, you and I are, we know a lot of the same people, been a lot, you know, in this, call it the seminar and speaker world and author world for so long. And there's so many that just skim the surface. And in the last 2-3 years have really reinvented the whole off Wall Street assets, because people need to learn about money. I mean, the core of everything you do all day long is about money. No one really teaches money. They'll teach components like how to do real estate, how to trade the stock market, how to get incorporated. But, you know, what I intentionally did is put that together where there's an alignment to the team. So the tax strategist talks to the insurance person, talks to the real estate person, talks to the trust attorney. So together there's a plan for people's lives. And I think that's a huge piece that's not only missing, but it's causing a hell of a lot of pain in people's lives.
And you're so on target, because, you know, when you're asking for bigger investments, and we're big investments, and we understand it, we're minuscule in comparison to creating a franchise. But out of the gate, it might seem like a $50,000 or $75,000 investment is a big investment. The challenge that happens is when you start working in the world of 401ks and accountants who are only working on your W-2, and you're coming at it from protect the little bit that I have instead of compound and grow it, people are confused, and that you're getting all of that, the static, you're getting all of the friction from these people. You're becoming a millionaire is not their priority. And I felt when I saw you speak this week, and, you know, I've been following you for years, but when I actually got to see you speak again, because I think I'd seen you speak about maybe 10, 11 years ago, and you were just killing it with your book. It was awesome. And I was like, oh my God, we're doing a lot of these things. And we dove deeper. And we learned a lot of what you're teaching now. You introduced the concepts, but what you put together today is like, we're going to do it for you. We're going to do it for you. We're going to do it with you. We're going to introduce you to the ecosystem of success. And it's an ecosystem. It's not one thing. You don't do one thing and become successful. You need that ecosystem. You know, we create the courses, we create the marketing, we create the hosting. We're in the ecosystem of that portion. But we tell everybody that you should put your products into a trust, or you should actually be in a situation where you're getting advised. And we tell every one of our instructors that. And then when I met you, I'm like, oh my God, you could do that with them. And I went bananas. So it was cool, man. And I think what you're doing, so let me ask you a question, because you got to ask me one, but I think it would be fair if I asked you one.
Absolutely.
Doesn't it make you feel incredible to know that you're impacting not only their lives? I know you mentioned you're a single mom. You've raised some incredible children, which is a testament to you as a human being, which is I love. You've introduced them to these opportunities. You went through actually the car scenario, which I thought was so cool because my kids are moving towards cars, and I'm like, yeah, man, we're doing that.
Yep.
But you're changing lives, Laurel. You're changing lives through your books, your classes, your seminars, your spirit, your energy. It's got to feel great.
It does. It does feel great. What's more heartbreaking, I'm going to go to the other side of it, is the folks who say they want help and they just don't move. I mean, you saw me put up two very distinct conversations. And I think the challenge for people to move, which I feel like that the work that I'm, really teaching people is the catalyst to move from. It's not just the job, the 401k, and staying tucked in and getting out of debt and living within your means. It's saying you can do anything. It's tapping into that amazing potential. And that's the ones where I feel good when they finally, the light bulb goes on and they're like, I can do it. I can actually, build a course. I can speak. I can write a book. I can go buy real estate. And then I can look at the investing side with knowledge and not fear, and know that there's safe investments. And most people think the Wall Street market and stock market is the only place that's safe. I think it's the most unsafe if you actually knew how it worked behind the scenes. So what I feel like I'm doing very transparently, and I get criticized a lot for all you talk about is money, because that's what my expertise is. Now I can talk about a whole bunch of other things, but I'm pretty intensely focused on teaching money because I want people to realize what they're taught is so deeply in their DNA. And then not only that, Peter, then their friends and their family, who I think are actually contaminants to their success because they want to keep them all the same. So the minute I say, don't pay off your debt, go invest your money. So like the woman that paid off her whole car that I gave you that example, right? She spent $24,000 of her savings, paid off her car. That was a 0% interest. She could have invested it. She didn't know how, but she needed to hang out in our community. She would learn how to invest it. 10% would have given her $2,400, $200 a month. Use the $200 so that keep your money and live off cash flow. It's just psychologically not there. And so many people are still around. You got to live debt free, got to live debt free. And they're never going to make it living in that old pattern. So it feels great when I finally get students who love it. The students who don't love it, and I'm really asking them to change, they're the ones who whine and complain about me on the internet.
We have those.
It doesn't work. And it's like, no, you haven't done anything. And you still are in what I call the Ramsey Susie Orman model, which if you like that model, they're the best teachers, but that's not me. That's not you. That's not what we're advising you to do. You're not going to become amazingly successful by staying broke. And what's heartbreaking is at the core of everybody, and you've been on stages, you've known Tony Robbins. I mean, you've been everywhere. Like I know, if you asked a live audience what people want, they want to help somebody. And you said it earlier in our conversation, most people can't even help themselves, much less help a damn other person,
And you have to define those moments, those opportunities where you get to help people. But we say leaders go first. And we also say leaders wear the biggest targets on their back because they're going to take the arrows because you're moving in a direction that's not popular. No one has to lead you in a direction that's popular. Right now, it's popular to put your money in the bank, in a 401k to allow an institution to lend it. I mean, I'm one of those people who's too well read, and it's like, man, that, when I read The Creature of Jekyll Island, I went bananas.
I know.
Oh my God, you just tore open the curtain. And we realize that the society, the system, if you don't know how to manipulate your debt so that you own it and the powers that be are in less control, that lady with the $24,000, she could have probably, under your tutelage, purchased a real estate property that over the next 15 years would have been hyperpaid by someone else, escalated, gotten the tax deductions on the first 5 years, wrapped it up into an LLC with a couple of friends, and then flipped out of it 2 or 3 times. 15 years from now, that $24,000 is worth $1 million. 15 years from now, the car's in the junkyard. The car's in the junkyard.
Oh, you get it. I mean,
you can't even give a 15-year-old car away today.
That's true. It's true. And people don't get that because they're not taught that. So that's that piece that I feel like we're bringing. And when you and I were at the end of our conversation, I said, this whole Susie Orman and Ramsey conversation is in the homes of America, this conversation. And I don't say it's my conversation. I think I've just uncovered it and I've made it simple for people to understand. They just have to start behaving differently, which means I'm just tired of being broke. And this new tax reform too, Peter Anthony, it is going to kill us. The rich are going to get richer, the poor are going to get poorer. I mean, it's what Trump's about. He lives this corporate life. And when people say, well, I don't want to join your program, or I can't spend money on your program. And my 3-day workshop's only $750. I said,
I know. $750. If my people don't go, I'm going to publicly humiliate you guys. If you don't go, if at least 25 to 30 of you don't sign up and you know who you are, you're the biggest whiners. Go out and figure this out. I'm not saying that Laurel or I have all of the answers, but when you're in the conversation, you're asking bigger questions, bigger answers show up, the right answers for you. And if you're not taking advantage of that, if you're not changing your social circle, if you're not changing the people who are influencing you to ask you bigger questions and support the answers to those questions, you're making the greatest tragic mistake because you'll never grow. It'll be impossible. You can't grow by putting your money in a 401k. And you can't grow by having the same conversations with the same people who are surrounding you who have not just broke in finances, because they might not feel broke. You can make $200,000 a year and you don't feel broke. You feel like, well, I've got good credit because I manage my credit and I'm paying off my house and I drive a BMW, but you're not going to get ahead. You don't know what the road ahead, you think that you're going to retire at 65, but here's the problem. You're going to live probably, if you make it to 65, do you know you have a 70% chance of living to 90?
I didn't know that, really?
Yeah, if you make it to 65, because the way that everything is done is based on concept to completion, birth to death. But when you start getting older and older, you're living longer and longer. And that's why these insurance companies are happy to take your 10-year term insurance at 65 years old, because they know you're living at 85 and you're not going to cash out.
Yep.
That's why they love term. Instead of using whole life or something like that to borrow against it, pull out the cash and reinvest it so they don't hold on to it. I mean, it's crazy what's available to us, Laurel. And you're pulling back the curtain and sharing it with the public, man. For me, I am an enthusiastic fan. I'm probably more fanatical, but I'm enthusiastic. I'm not the person to teach it, but I am definitely the person to prod people into it, because until you have that conversation with yourself that you want more, that you're worth more, and that there is more available, you show us, okay, cool, I want more, but I'm going to come back because I'm scared. I don't know. Yep. Everybody says, go to E.F. Hutton, right? And I'm like, what? You're going to get your taxes done someplace where you're an assembly line.
Yep, she followed you.
Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you know? You've got all of these opportunities for deductions. You're not taking them.
And with the new tax reform, a couple of things I just want to comment on. I just love your enthusiasm. I'm going to do this all the time. There's 81,000 pages, not 81,000, 81,000 pages
my mind.
Of tax deductions. So I always go to the other side with my clients and I'll say, so let's go to your personal account. There's only a few things you can't deduct if you're truly living corporate life. Like, we're not a program we're teaching you. This isn't something you're signing up for. This is a lifestyle we're teaching you, because once you get it, we can't take it away from you. That's actually, Peter, probably what I feel the best about is when they get it, I can't take away your knowledge of being incorporated, your knowledge of tax strategies, your knowledge of what assets are depreciating. The stock market, you can't do a depreciation schedule. Gas and oil at 85%, real estate, aviation, all these things have great depreciation. The other thing is, I love that you brought up term insurance. So in our world, because I make up funny new words, right? Like Freedom Day. I make up Freedom Days. I
love that day. I want Freedom Day.
In insurance, whenever people have term insurance, I always say, you have death insurance. You don't have life insurance, you have death insurance. And all you're doing is just wasting your money, blowing it away for absolutely no purpose. It's horrible stuff. And then the other thing I want to comment on is that little scared place that people get to. And here's how and you heard me say it, and it's harsh, but it's true, and everyone that's watching, they have a gift, they have a talent, something that they're amazing at, and they're not bringing it to the world because they're scared. They might get hurt. They might fail. Are you kidding? I mean, I don't call it failure. I call it bumping into the walls and getting bruised. So I've had so many bruises. I should be black and blue. I shouldn't even be a white little human anymore. I mean, I should be completely black and blue by all the bruises I have. But I just keep moving. It's like, damn, that one hurt. And then, you know what, I would say, God makes them hurt really, really bad. And sometimes you get a concussion, you end up with braces from it. Like, I don't know what that whole thing was about. Well, I do. I should have worn a seatbelt. It was a pretty easy lesson. Your bruises and the pain are going to get more than less unless you lean in and start learning. And this isn't like, here's another thing that drives me crazy. And I'd love to know how you handle this with your tribe. Is when people say, I'm not quite ready. How can you not be ready? You woke up like today, and you're spending money every day. Money's coming in and out of your life every day. You're either in control of it, you know what the hell's going on, or you're abdicating it, putting your head down in the sand saying, I just want to get through life and hope this all works out. Like, what would you say to those people? Because those are the ones that drive me crazy, that back up
out of my mind.
And they're just ripping people off, sitting on their ass. People need people to help.
Well, we do a couple of things. First, we tell them that hope is not a strategy.
Oh, that's good.
Because you need a strategy. If you're going to change your life, you need a strategy. And if you're unwilling to invest in the change, all you're telling yourself is, I don't have enough evidence and education in order to make that move forward. So you're going to have to invest in more education. But there comes a point where you just have to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. And if you're unwilling to do it, we have the luxury. I mean, we've got the best speakers on the planet. We've got Keith Cunningham. We've got Les Brown. We have Jay Shetty. We have Forbes Riley. We're the best people on the planet coming to us and moving to us and being part of our community. And I get to coach some amazing people on how to move forward. Like, you wouldn't think that these guys would have fear about moving forward or investing in a deeper level of online product. But you just have to show the comparisons. Last year, $200 billion was spent on online education. $200 billion. 50% of companies would rather spend money on online education than live education.
Which I think is interesting, because there's nothing that replaces human interaction. My workshops, and you're going to see this because we're going to be together in April in Costa Mesa.
You're stuck with me. I'm a groupie. I told you I was fanatic.
I know. We're going to be stalk each other.
Don't stop too fast. My plane will be right behind your plane. Right? Because you have a King Air, right?
I'm King Air.
I love it, man. That's a great plane. It's a great
plane. I think I need to take you flying in it just so we can, continue to chat.
Oh, yeah.
So when we see each other, I developed this cool marketplace technology where everyone is guaranteed to make money. Because here's what I know about making money. It's really simple. It's in someone else's pocket.
Right? Mine.
Right. It's in your pocket. It now needs to come to my pocket. But for me to get it, I have to provide you a product or a service or some amazing value that is worthy to what you need now. Right. And that's why with money, when people say, well, I can't do it right now, I'm thinking you better need to handle your money right now. Like, you can do all these other things. You can go to 4-year college class. You can learn to be the best chiropractor, the best nurse, the best whatever you are. And if you don't know money and business, that's really why people fail. People don't fail because they're a bad hairstylist, a bad restaurant owner. They don't know how to run the business of the thing that they're in. Is usually, I'd say 99% of why people fail.
They don't know how to manage their resources in the beginning. Here's the interesting part, Laurel. Having been, a coach and a consultant and consulted with 10,000 business owners over the last 20 years, you realize one thing. These guys are coming out of the gate and they're running a sprint instead of looking at it like a marathon. And they're using all their assets to paint walls and buy furniture instead of understanding what they need to learn, how they need to market, and what business they're really in. And once they know those things and they can articulate them, they can go long-term and they'll have compounded. They get to the end of the race through attrition. No one's left, which is great. And then they're going to get a bigger piece of a pie because people like to do people who've been in business for a long time, but you got to start. Yep. You don't have to be great when you start, but you got to start to be great.
Oh, that's good. And, I reflect back to, I don't tell you a funny story how Live Out Loud started. So my first 5 years, I was an exercise physiologist early in my day, and I was designing fitness centers on offshore oil rigs. So I would take my finance degree and my master's in exercise physiology, and I put the analysis together, and I would basically show all the companies on a spreadsheet how much money they're spending to have unhealthy people. So they should build a fitness center and have all these nutrition and back injury prevention and smoking cessation classes and all that. Then I met Kiyosaki and Sharon Lecter. So for 5 years, and this is a lesson for all of you, just start doing something. So I didn't know really how to run a company, but I loved their products. I love Rich Dad Poor Dad. I love the cash flow game. So I became a master distributor and just sold their stuff. And then in 2001, I started Live Out Loud on a bet from Bob Proctor, John Burley, Sandy Botkin, and I think Keith was there. So So they were basically, I was kind of done with that 5 years with Robert, and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to get very micro, because in the Kiyosaki work, what's the number one question everybody asked out of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book? That sounds great. How do I do it? So that's how Live Out Loud, that's how I kind of carved into this. I said, well, let's teach people how the hell to do it right. And you've seen it, which I think, by the way, you should build me an online home study course. I actually don't really have one. I had one before, but now it's really reinvented. I just think we should do that together. And you should.
Love to. It would be awesome.
It'd be super fun. And we're going to it has to be in everyone's home. The family and the teenagers need to be a huge part of it. But I want to go back to something you said, which I want to just really, and Dan Kennedy's one of my greatest mentors. Love that man. I think his copy's just off the charts great. The number one thing he says about why people don't succeed in business is you actually don't know what business you're in. So you're actually not in a chiropractic business. You're not in the restaurant business. I'm not a speaker author business. I'm in the marketing business, right? I'm not a business. And I think so many people have great stuff. Like this jewelry, right? This jewelry, this, a little prayer bead, this stuff. I get stuff from my clients. I buy lots of stuff from my clients. But you know what? A lot of their great inventory is going to sit in their garage, and it's going to die with them because they don't know how to market. They don't know how to get their good stuff to the world. And then they feel scared. And like you said, then they retract. That's the part. If we could break that code, if we could have a DNA.
And the longer it goes, it's the longer it goes. So if I didn't make a sale in the first 90 days, I become more tentative in the next 90.
Yep.
More tentative in the next 90. And that's why businesses, they die for a couple of reasons. The other reason that I want to share with you in our research that businesses die is because if you make it through the 5-year trajectory where you're part of the 20% who make it, you didn't lose the game yet. What happens is you feel, because you're in business for a feeling of success. We trade our 40-hour job for a 100-hour job. It makes no sense.
So true.
Like everybody wants to be more financially free and independent. Well, you're not really independent in the startup game. In the startup phase, you're working nonstop 7 days a week. And it doesn't matter how old you are. We launched You Will Change the World in its current format 3 years ago. So we know where we are in our trajectory. Now, I've been building websites since 98 and, being a business consultant, and I've been doing video courses since 89. But You Will Change the World as an entity is fresh. And we're out there, and I literally work 7 days a week, just like you do. You're on the phone. If you're not teaching, you're on the phone making a deal that you're going to teach about at your next course, 24/7, 365.
Yep.
We have to get people to get past that fear. Sometimes I got to push you through the door, and they say, well, Peter Anthony, you're very, very aggressive about your thing. I'm aggressive for 2 reasons.
I've never been told that, by the way.
I know. Well, you're so polite, I
am polite, but I'm very certain.
You have to be certain.
You have to do what we say. So tell me why.
Well, because 2 things. The number one quality of a leader is decisiveness. Mm-hmm. Are you able to make a decision quickly? So number one quality of a leader. You don't want a leader sitting there, oh, gee, should the troops go left or right? I don't know. What do you think? There's not leader by proxy when you're, you need to be decisive, and you have to live with the fact that you're going to make some not great decisions, but you need to know the outcome, and you're making those mid-course corrections on your way to the outcome. Mm-hmm. It's fine. It's perfectly fine to make mistakes. What's not fine is not to start, to live a life of regret. Every day you don't start, someone is putting themselves into the space that could have been yours. Yep. But if I say cola, 9 out of 10 people think Coke.
Yep.
It drives Pepsi nuts.
Yep.
They go bananas.
Yep.
Because, if I say coffee now, 6 out of 10 people say Starbucks.
I know.
They own the market share. And it drives Dunkin' Donuts crazy. And it killed 7-Eleven because coffee was the number one thing they sold before Starbucks came out. But see, Starbucks owns the coffee mentality, and more importantly, Starbucks owns the coffee experience.
Yep.
And people buy things because they're buying a feeling. And if you can share a feeling with another human being and make them feel better about the experience, and then learn how to elongate that experience, to take it from 24 hours to 7 days, from 7 to 30, from 30 to 90. At that moment, you own your market. But in order to do it to others, you must first learn how to elongate the experience for yourself. So when you go to Laurel's course, I want you every day to think about how amazing over the next 3 years your life is going to be, because now you're taking control, you're being decisive, you're making the financial decisions necessary to change your family's belief in money. That belief was passed down. I don't want my mom's belief. My mom was like, when I dropped out of law school and I said, hey, Mom, I just went to a Tony Robbins seminar. She's like, awesome. How was it? I said, it was great. She says, who the hell is Tony Robbins? I said, don't worry, he's a motivational speaker. I have something to share with you real quick, Mom. Listen, I dropped out of law school. She said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to be a hairdresser.
And she said, what the hell?
Is there something you'd like to tell us? I said, yeah, I just did. I'm going to be a hairdresser. Because, and then I went through and I wrote a whole entire paper on the trajectory of hair color in hair salons, and it was doubling every 5 years. It was 6% of the gross revenue. By the year 2000, it would be 70% of the gross revenue of hair salons. My trajectory was off. It happened a little sooner. I went around the world sharing that paper with people. You got to get in the right spot at the right time, and you get all the marbles, and they come easily.
Yeah.
Right now, you're teaching people, Laurel, where the spot is, who has the marbles, and why they want to give them to you.
And
Are you kidding? Who wouldn't take advantage of that for $750? It makes no sense that you wouldn't show 3 days of your life. I don't even want to tell you what I paid for my financial education, but I think you were a platinum partner with Tony as well.
Yep.
I spent 4 years in platinum. I paid him $75,000 a year, plus all the trips, figure another $75,000, plus 16 weeks off. 16 weeks I was out of my business, not being productive, making deals on the side, but still, cost me $1 million over 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
$1 million over 4 years. You're going to take these people and in 3 days inject into them what cost me $1 million to learn.
And I'm going to guarantee they're going to make some money.
I know, that's the cool part. They all make money in your course immediately. I can't make that guarantee. I love it. But I'm going to steal something from you. I'm going to make every one of my instructors pre-sell their stuff so that they have belief. You got to pre-sell it. Get on the phone and find somebody who wants to buy it. I don't care if you sell it for $25. Get a charge card. Sign up for Square. Get that charge card in your account. You sell 10 units, you know that there's 10 people per state. There's 500 people who want to buy your stuff, and you can upgrade them.
Yes. And that's what I teach. So,
I know. It's awesome.
So 2 things about that I think is so critical about the pre-sales is we need to do this. I keep saying we're going to we're going to get some T-shirts that say, don't move without money. Because what so many people do is they'll move. I'm going to write a book. Well, who asked you to write the book? Well, nobody, but it's just a brilliant idea. Or I'm going to design this coffee cup. Who asked you to design the coffee cup? Nobody, but it's a damn good idea. So the problem is everybody in their own little world, no one's paid them. No one, which means no one wants it, or you haven't engaged in the pre-sale. So what I teach people is part of a pre-sale mentality is like a focus group. So what you get is you're going to get a huge focus group of people. Right. So you're going to come to the room, you're going to come to our 3-day room. 75 to 100 people are going to be there. They're going to give you feedback, whether they want your crap or not. And if they don't pre-sell, which means if they don't give you money, then don't move. Don't design the webinar. Like what drives me crazy about my clients that are authors, actually are webinar. I'm going to design a webinar. Then when the webinar is all done, then I'm going to see who wants it. Wrong answer. So here's what I did. And I'm going to just share one little story. And I know we're kind of coming to the end of our little time.
No, I'm just sharing this, man. This story is huge. Everybody's got to hear it.
This one is so fun. So I decided I was going to get in the cannabis business because I knew it was going to make the .com look like the .bomb and the crypto world. Last summer, I went on an exploration looking for who my cannabis partner are. Now, there's a huge lesson in that. I didn't go learn cannabis. I found the best partner. Now, I made a little mistake, didn't pick the right one, so replaced that right away, found another one. And now he and I are together, awesome partners. And so here's what we do. We sent out an email to my list. I have a huge database, just like you do. And thousands of people said, teach us about cannabis. So we did a 4-week free webinar and people kept coming and coming. And we had a $3 like Facebook ad lead. I mean, people just kept coming. And then at the end, we said, so how many of you would pay us if we actually all got together live in Vegas and did a 3-day workshop? And for those of you who are serious about it, that want to go see the dispensary, see the grow, and actually do the tour, it's extra money. And we were paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And so then now I have all the money. Now we go design the workshop. But I want to go back to the webinar. Here's what's interesting about the webinar. I call it MSU, make shit up. So we seriously did the webinar. All these people said, yes, I want to come. So then we sent out another email that said, survey. What would you like to learn about in our webinar? And of course, they would tell you. And then you produce the first PowerPoint slide for the first week and you give them what they asked for. Then you say, thanks for coming to week 1. Now, what would you like to learn in week 2? And they tell you what they want. And then you go get it and you give it to them. It's the simplest model of being an entrepreneur. We didn't go sit in a little box together and design 4 weeks of webinar that nobody asked for. We continually and consistently modified and adjusted to what people wanted. Like one that was very interesting is they wanted to know the law. So we actually brought on a former attorney general, we brought on a former legislator, and we brought on a politician to talk about the law. We wouldn't have just made that up. We let our students make it up. That's what they wanted to learn. So, I mean, we're going to teach you all this in my 3-day workshop of why you pre-sale, why you do deposits, why you launch rich, why do most people broke? They launch poor. They spend all their money on inventory, all their money on ideas.
I love that. Launch rich or launch poor.
I have this poor one. Sorry?
Launch rich or launch poor.
You got to launch rich. We should write that book together. We're so in line in our thinking. We should write that book together. So I have this poor woman in Australia who decided that she was going to design a new facial line. And, you know, there's a lot of facial lines out there. So hers is 9 products. I don't know about you, but Proactive can barely get 3 products done, much less a human standing in front of a mirror for 9 products worth of crap. Glop, as Dan Kennedy calls it. So the problem is that there's an expiration date. So she comes to me after she's $150,000, $200,000 in debt with all this crap in her garage, not even enough money to put into a warehouse. So you know what we did? We just deep discounted and just sold it all out and we started over.
Flip it.
Anyway, so I could tell story after story. Here's what we're going to do at the workshop. And I just appreciate you helping support it. And I really do want you to design my home study course because I think through that, we could put this money experience, the right one, in the homes of every American and Canadian and Australian, because they're all taught wrong. Like since Jekyll Island, since 1933, no real proper money conversation has ever been taught. And what we're teaching is so off of the norm. People think that I'm ludicrous. Like, what is she saying? Oh my gosh, she said be in debt and you should have credit cards and you should do all the, I'm teaching them opposite but right things. Hence why only less than 10% of the world actually becomes millionaires. And it's not hard. It's just a system and you got to pay attention.
All it is a function of doing the right thing. And when you know the system and you're there faster than you think.
Yeah. Much
faster. My first course was how to become a millionaire when I was 21. How to become a millionaire flipping burgers at McDonald's.
No way.
I was out of my mind teaching the course. This is 30 years ago. But most entrepreneurs and most CEOs work 65 to 75 hours a week. I said, well, that's 2 full-time jobs or 1 full-time and 2 part-time jobs or 1 full-time job where you're so indispensable, they're paying you. Just invest the difference. All you have to do is invest the difference. You get enough money, you buy a house, boom, 15 years, you're a millionaire. You're a retired millionaire. Some of the richest people in the world worked for UPS. They just knew how to invest their money.
Yep.
Never made more than $18,000. you retire with 74 million because you know how to invest. You know where to put it. You know how to protect it. Look at what you're teaching people, where to put it, how to compound it, how to protect it, and where to find it.
Yep. And how to find partners. I do a whole thing. How do you find partners? So if you're really busy being that entrepreneur, how do you find real estate in that market that can actually do that for you? How do you find a robotic trader, gas and oil franchise? Like we teach you at the workshop, all these cool assets. When you leave, we're actually going to, whether you have money or not, you're going to design a portfolio that I want you so motivated that you're going to go make the money to fund that portfolio. So I want you to like go make money and get so excited, because sometimes becoming an entrepreneur, people aren't excited about that. But what they get excited about is how quickly that they can become a millionaire by putting their money to work and finding right and safe places for it. So it's exciting.
Coolest. Well, let's do this. Let's tell everybody how they can get, I know there's a link somewhere, and we can click on that and we can share that, and we can make sure, if you're watching this from us, we've supplied a link. Live Out Loud, right? Yep.
It's liveoutloud.com/OWSA, stands for Off Wall Street Asset Tickets. And we posted our event page on the comments. So you can just go there and click. For $750, you get to come. Our charity side of our life is bring your teenagers for free, and they will never pay, even as they become an adult, because we're just going to have great partners and great, smart people. And again, I just want to keep repeating, once you learn this and you live this way, you can't take it away. No one can ever take this away from you. You can't screw it up. Like, it's a completely broken down system, and we want you to have it. We want you to get rich.
Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. Appreciate your time here, Anthony. So good to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. Our people are going to get a tremendous amount, even just out of this. So you could see how much, Laurel's delivering just on a Facebook Live. You can't even imagine the wisdom bombs that she's going to drop at her live event. It's going to be crazy. Don't expect to come there and get there at 9:30, have a little tea and jet at 4:30. You guys are going to be involved for 3 days. And I'm going to be at the one in April. I'm going to make sure that we just crush it. When is that one? When's
April? So the dates, April 11th, 12th, 13th in Costa Mesa. May, we're going to be in Phoenix, actually Scottsdale. And then June, we're going to Salt Lake. I'm taking July off to move my son to Jacksonville University, put him in school. And then I'll be back in LA in August. And then every month, we just have every month. So you can't say, well, I can't make it. You cancel stuff. And the way that we've just shifted the workshop is registration is on the Wednesday between 4 and 5. Doors open at 5:30. I teach until 9:30. I give you a whole bunch of stuff to think about. And then you come back and it's all like you said, I want you there at 8:30. It's going to be all day, long day Thursday. And then again, all day Friday. And then you get the weekend free.
You guys have to go. I'm not going to tell you again, but I'm going to find out if you went.
Exactly.
Get your butts there. You need to learn this. I was a millionaire by the time I was 27, using only 1/10 of the principles that she's teaching. So you got to get out there. You got to do it. And you've got to change your life and your family's life. You've got to make a difference. Leaders go first. Make the decision. I'll see you guys later. Laurel, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you.
Appointments. I got a jet, but man, I thought this was going to be 10 minutes. We were on for 41 minutes dropping bombs, girl. You rock.
You rock. Appreciate you
so much.
Take care. Have an amazing day.
Bye-bye.
Be well, my friend.
Thanks for listening to the Real Money Talks podcast. Your host has been Laurel Langmeyer, author of 5 New York Times bestsellers, money expert on Dr. Phil, CNN, CNBC, The Street TV, Fox News, and The View. Want to learn more about off-Wall Street investing, tax strategies, and multi-million-dollar business strategies? Visit laurelsrealmoneytalks.com for past episodes, show notes, and resources. For some special wealth-building gifts only for Laurel's podcast listeners, visit laurelsrealmoneytalks.com/podcast gifts. Do you have a burning question for Laurel? Visit asklaurel.com to submit your question, and it may just be covered on a podcast episode. So stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to get new episodes every week.